Nothing you want is going to happen in your timing. It almost never does. How many times have you wanted something to happen at a particular time and date and it didn't happen? You know how many times that's happened to you? It happens all the time. So everything you ask God for, it comes in a process. It's going to happen, especially if you write it down. That's the secret. Everything you want has to be written. This is a principle of success that isn't often taught. It's the never giving up that hurts people the most. You pray for something, you ask God for something, then when it don't happen in your time, then you create these human excuses. Well, I guess it wasn't meant to be. I guess it wasn't the Lord's will. It'll never happen. It just didn't happen in your timing. But I can almost assure you, nothing you want is going to happen in your timing. It almost never does. How many times have you wanted something to happen at a particular time and date and it didn't happen? You know how many times that's happened to you? It happens all the time. So everything you ask God for, it comes in a process. It's going to happen, especially if you write it down. That's the secret. Everything you want has to be written. This is a principle of success that isn't often taught, but it's in the Bible. There's a scripture that tells you that you must do this. It's Habakkuk 2:2. Just go read it. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry means take a long time, wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. Everything you write on paper that God puts in your mind and your imagination, he puts it in your imagination because that's a sign of things to come. That's what he puts. Everything for you, he places it in your imagination. If you write it down and keep the faith, you'll get everything on that paper. God has an incredible life for you. He really does. But you ain't gonna get there if you give up. You can't get to what God got for you if you stop. You can't get to what God got for you if you're afraid. Now I know taking chances is kind of fretful, but the best things in life is on the other side of fear. But one of the things that I've always done to help overcome my fears is I make my dreams bigger than all my fears. I have dreams that's so big that not getting there is just unacceptable. It doesn't make any sense for you not to have the life that you dream of. It does not make any sense. God really does want to use you as an example of what he can do. You just got to volunteer, but you got to be willing to go through something to get to it. Success ain't free. They ain't passing out money, man. Anybody sending none to your house. That ain't how this works. You got to go get it. But in order to go get it, you got to want something. You got to have vision boards. You got to have stuff you dream about. You got to have this stuff written down. That being successful is not an accident. Hey, man, stop thinking, man, that your life is over because you're a certain age. Who are you to determine? You know what I can't stand when I hear Christians say, well, I guess it was the Lord's will. If it was the Lord's will, I would have had some money by now. No, you can't dump that on God. God's will is that you prosper. That's his will. Now, the fact that you done made some adverse decisions to stop your prosperity train from happening, don't dump that on him. God comes to give you life and give you life more abundantly. That's what he say. Well, then the question is, where your abundant at? You're going down to church, you're memorizing all these scriptures. Why don't you apply some of them? He come to give you life and give you life more abundantly. God got a great life for you, man, but you got to want something. You got to want it, you got to write it down. Most people don't have what they want in life because it ain't written down nowhere. But you go to church, you done heard that scripture, but I guess you thought they wasn't talking to you. Habakkuk 2:2 says, you must write the vision and make it plain, so that he who reads it will run to it. And even though it tarry, that means take a long time. Wait for it, for surely it will come at an appointed time. That's a scripture. This ain't no philosophy. This a fact. What you waiting on? Write it down. Put some faith on it. And then get ready to go to work. Sit up and you can believe in God all you want, but if you don't work, man, it ain't gonna happen. Because he told you that, though. He said faith without works is dead. I'm just asking you, man, to try something new. If you've tried everything, it ain't worked for you. I'm just asking you, just try writing it down. Just try writing it down. Go home and read Habakkuk 2:2 and see if you don't get the feeling he's talking to you. After you write it down, I want you to put some faith on it. When you put some faith on it, I want you to work for it. I want you to believe in your heart that you will have it. Now, you might not want this life. You might not want what it takes to get here. But if you want this life, you got to put in your work. You got to put it in. You got to stay prayerful. You got to never give up. You got to talk to God every day. Now, if that ain't what you want to do, then good luck. You have not because you ask not. It's that simple. Most people don't have the life of their dreams because you ain't never asked God, could you have it? You've been trying to do it yourself. You've been trying to figure it out for yourself, how that's been working out for you. Kind of crazy, ain't it? I just told you earlier, you can't figure it out. Ain't no scripture nowhere tell you to figure it out. What you trying to figure your life out for? It ain't yours. You ain't make it. You ain't the creator. You ain't got nothing to do with tomorrow. You can't change the past. So what you tripping with your life for? You have not because you ask not. Y'all ain't never asked God, could you be rich? Most people ain't rich today because you ain't never asked God, could you be rich? I asked God every day when I was homeless. At the lowest point of my life, I asked God every day, could I be rich? You know why? Because I had it up to here with being poor. I lived in a car, dog. I ain't had no backyard. I ain't had no TV. I ain't had no phone. I ain't got no bathroom. I ain't got no sink. I asked God every day, could I be rich? So I cut a deal with him. I told God, if you let me make it when I get there, every chance I get, I'm going to tell everybody it was you. Here I am, and it was him. You want a relationship with God where God is not only your king, he's your companion, he's your guide, he's your friend. You know how you can tell your friend anything? That's the relationship he's looking for. You got to have that, man. Listen to me. When you ask God for something, it's a very simple thing. You know how I acquired a lot of stuff was because of a second scripture I'm going to tell you about. See, you have not because you ask not. You got to start asking God for big stuff. Stop wasting God's time with all this little stuff. Lord, help me make my rent. Don't he always? You keep coming up with the rent. He said ask. You have not because you ask not. So you rule yourself out of the mortgage simply because you won't ask.